Hi, welcome to Shrink Wrapped. I'm Allison Colarosi here with Dr. David Colarosi, and we are here to talk about all things pop psychology.
And we've had a big week. I'm looking forward to it. How have you been?
Good. How have you been?
I've been good.
We've had, for the last 2 days during the workday, we've had a 2-year-old running around while we've been trying to work.
It has been a total nightmare. Allison and I are back to back all day, and we've got Lino. He's like a terrorist in the house. They shut down daycare because their water heater broke.
It's been Arctic here.
Yeah, it's been Arctic. But I don't understand.
Like -6.
Unreal. I don't mean to be a jerk about it, but I get they need to wash their hands. I'm pro hygiene. But couldn't we use like sandy wipes and cold water?
I don't.
We could get around the
but
hot
maybe
water.
it's the babies' bottles that need to be sanitized. It's not just maybe like they just send the babies home.
Then buy some. Send the babies home because I am suffering. I do not understand.
The whole thing
has been cold, but we've got a lot of skiing in.
Yeah.
Enzo's skiing a lot, doing really well. That's good, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And so there have been some things which Dave has brought up in his YouTube channel, which I thought we should talk about here because I find them interesting and I have a little bit of a different take on all of them.
Before I turn the camera on, she goes, I want to talk about Britney Spears because I disagree with you. So let's do Britney's. I'll give a high level overview and we'll talk about Britney Spears. Okay. Britney Spears, I'm going to butcher the dates, but let's just say 2007, 2004, went postal. The media said she went postal. She had either a bipolar episode or was suicidal, which was 5150. She was hospitalized and she was put under a conservatorship by her father, who was kind of not present in her life. And her father kind of entered and took over to run Britney's, I think essentially her financial affairs.
I think like her franchise too, like deciding where she could, how she performed, where she performed, also who was allowed to be around her.
Yeah, like really ran her life. And he's continued to run her life for the last 15 years. And so this Free Britney movement is about her trying to get out from underneath that. Because Britney has, in the last several years, tried to remove him as the conservator and replace him with somebody else. She's not tried to get out from under the conservatorship entirely, which is, I think, interesting. And just as a side note, conservatorships are usually for senile old people that have no ability to take care of themselves. So they don't want to have, a 105-year-old man try and invest in the stock market. So they manage his money. It's pretty odd to have a 40-year-old woman who's under a conservatorship.
Yeah, to me, it's really sad. I'm a huge fan of Britney, by the way. I have always been a huge fan. When we've been to her concert. I was a supporter during the crazy times.
Okay, so what you have to know is, Allison always liked Britney, but when Britney went a little bit nuts, like the head shaving and bashing in the side of cars, I feel like you really embraced Britney.
I just felt bad for her. You know that song Pieces of Me?
No.
She wrote a song and I was like, that's so sad for her. It's like, she's too fat. No, she's too thin.
I don't remember that
Everyone
song.
wants a piece of me. I can't remember.
Oh, yeah. I do remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, it's so true. Like, she couldn't, like, she was never, like, someone always had a commentary or was in her face about something. And so she, like, I felt like she got no time to process any of the things that a normal person would. And she was like basically thrown to the wolves, Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. So what's your...
In a misogynistic world.
So
because what JT did to her, Justin Timberlake, like basically...
All right, okay, this part I don't get. Okay, so what did JT do to her? I don't understand why he's coming out. I don't understand. That part I don't get. What did he do to her?
Like, they broke up and he basically said she cheated on him.
Did she?
I don't know.
So, did she deny it?
I don't know.
So why are we all attacking JT? Why is JT coming out? First of all, why are we calling him JT? Why did Justin Timberlake come out and apologize for the... I get that maybe he was not supportive enough, or maybe he was too dismissive, and I get that because he's male, he didn't face the same level of scrutiny that Britney did.
Not at all. She was like always like either she was, too little girl or too sexualized or she was never right for the media. And I mean, despite that, she was a huge pop star. Like, I feel like Madonna embraced that, or like Lady Gaga embraced it. And poor Britney was like 16 and it was like, so sad.
Okay. Yeah. All right. I'll give you that. I don't know why Justin Timberlake needs to come out and give an apology.
I didn't know he did.
Yeah. He gave an apology for Britney and Janet Jackson. Because he ripped off Janet Jackson, like showed her boob.
On purpose?
I mean, it was pretty obvious that it was on purpose during the Super Bowl.
Oh.
You know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about, but I thought Janet was complicit. Is that
okay? She had a nipple ring that was. I remember. Some things stick out in my mind. Janet Jackson had a nipple ring that was like very ornamental. It wasn't like a straightforward nipple ring. It was like a full sun around it, and it was a very glitzy nipple ring. Oh, so maybe that's her nipple ring, or she was complicit, and I don't feel bad about it. But he had to come out and say, "Hey, I'm sorry because Janet got a lot of crap and he didn't, and Britney got a lot of crap and he didn't," and so he had to come out and say, "Sorry, he was less supportive." And for me, I'm like, it's just performative. I don't think he's, I'm not sure he has anything really to be sorry for. That is your male
privilege talking right now.
Okay, go ahead. What's your perspective?
Anyway, let's get back to...
No, you don't get to just say it's my male privilege and move
because
on.
I feel like he got to talk smack about Britney.
He didn't talk smack about Britney.
He did.
They asked him what happened in the relationship, and he said, she cheated on me.
And then he did a whole video about her cheating on him.
Can I please play devil's advocate? Maybe she cheated on him. Does that not matter to anybody? I don't understand why we're all attacking the poor guy. Poor guy got cheated on. I believe him. All right, give the hot take on Britney. Where do you disagree with me?
I think that I think because of this conservatorship, she has been unable to progress as an adult. So she hasn't been able to fail like with her finances or fail with friendships because like it's so orchestrated around her. She doesn't get to choose. She doesn't get to make choices on her own. So when I watch her on Instagram, it feels like I'm looking at a 16-year-old person that never grew up, which makes me sad. It's like a little like Peter Pan.
Yeah. So I think we agree on that. I think we totally agree. Do you think she struggles with mental illness?
I think anyone in the position she was in would have struggled in that way. Like she had cameras in her face constantly. It sounds like her mom said she had postpartum depression. And like when you hear her talk about like just trying to get away from the paparazzi, so she put the baby on her lap because she felt fearful of that the paparazzi's getting too close to the baby. Then like they're like mom shaming her. The whole thing. Like I'm sure she probably struggles with major depression and anger.
I think what I think is interesting, and I think we should that people need to be aware of is that we don't really know. Like if you look on the internet, it's like widely accepted that she's bipolar. And I'm not totally certain that there's enough data there to really prove that.
But you didn't talk about like her Instagram, like the cadence of her speech and stuff.
I did.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I think that I'll say it again, but I did mention it that you talking about here on my video.
On her Instagram, you were telling me like, oh, that sounds like a manic person, just like the way she's talking on the Instagram, like her voice, speech, cadence, and erratic.
She has been put on a 5150 hold. I believe that's what it's called. It's been a while since I was in California, but she was on a hold presumably because she was for suicidal ideation. I don't know why else she'd do that. Her speech definitely is very erratic, very pressured, very rushed. Her behavior seems erratic. I think that there's a lot of behavioral things that you could look at and you would go, that seems diagnosable. Mm-hmm. And we don't know what drug cocktail she's on. We don't know, and we're not like, I don't think we're really thinking about her environment. You know, shaving her head definitely comes across like a bipolar behavior, you know, going into mania and freaking out and making a bad decision. And there's a lot of other reasons why you would do that, like trying to get the paparazzi to stop constantly harassing you because your whole life has been destroyed because you're a sex symbol. The easiest solution is to not be a sex symbol anymore, and so you shave your head. Like there's a lot of, and if I just lost custody of my 2 kids and some paparazzi was flashing a camera in my face, I would bash his car too. Like I don't think there's a lot of things that I think at the time we looked at and go mental illness,
and they get so close.
Right, it's just ridiculous.
It's like I feel like there's no regard for space.
Yeah,
you know.
And one thing I think that no one says, but people have talked about the gender issue a lot, and I agree that she's mistreated or treated differently. Because I was thinking about Charlie Sheen, for sure bipolar, for sure drug addict, for sure erratic, but he has control of his money. He can control his life. The guy thinks he has tiger blood, right? I mean, it's like he is the most extreme example of an out-of-control celebrity, but he can still make financial decisions for himself. So why are they taking Britney Spears and putting her under this conservatorship?
Well, and one of the things that you brought up to me, just in this conversation, you were saying, well, it's not that she wants to get out of it. She wants just not her dad to do it. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking that's because she does not have the confidence in herself because of how she's been handled.
Yeah.
And so which to me, like Charlie Sheen is confident that he can handle it, but she like probably feels less confident because she didn't have a chance to fail. She didn't have a chance to learn the normal things in life, and so she probably doesn't have the confidence in that.
That's a really good point. That is a good point.
Which makes me sad.
I would love to interview her to see. Wouldn't that be fascinating?
Yeah.
Brittany, hit me up.
Well, and I bet that, like, given the opportunity, she'd probably surprise us all and be a badass, because,
I think she would. Yeah. I mean, she can pull it together for sure.
Yeah. Anyway.
Free Britney. Hashtag Free Britney.
Hashtag Free Britney.
And if you haven't seen it, the documentary is called, it's on Hulu and is it FX? But it's called Britney Framed. It's good. It's good.
It is kind of crazy that people have time to go sit in front of the courthouse on her behalf, though.
There would be maybe other things that I would do with my time, but there are passion. I do think it's amazing.
I like passionate people.
I like the passion, and there are people like Britney and Lady Gaga also that have, for a certain segment of the population, really provided support and guidance. Like there's something about Britney that makes some people feel okay. Mm-hmm. You know, like there's a certain segment, like I know Lady Gaga, I think, calls them her little monsters. But her Little Monsters crowd is cultish in how much they support her because she sort of...
Her music is...
Yeah, and her music makes them feel good.
I think there's, like, Cody Rigsby is going to have some, too. I have a coworker that absolutely loves Cody Rigsby, believes that Cody Rigsby saved her life, changed her life, everything, and I think she's not alone.
Cody Rigsby is a cyclist on Peloton. Allison's favorite cyclist.
Not my favorite, but like up there.
Who's your favorite?
I am a big fan of Olivia and Christine. Actually, I have a lot of them. I also like Tunde. And on Sundays, I like Ally Love. So I'm all over the map.
For me, Ally Love is too nice. And Tunde is too hard. She's so hard.
That's how I think about Alex Toussaint. I can I don't think I can do that today.
Mm-hmm. So what else? What other things did you want to talk about?
Okay, so on Valentine's Day, Dave Hollis. So last week I told you that I was really missing Dave Hollis from the coaching session. I take it back. I'm so unimpressed with Dave Hollis right now and his decision to post his new hormonal love. I feel like
that's the dismissive out. His hormonal.
I don't mean to be dismissive, but he just met a woman. They met over like trying to do a podcast and cried their eyes out, and now they're in love.
Heidi Powell.
Heidi Powell. I mean, she's a fitness person and she looks amazing, but I'm just disappointed in like the whole thing because Dave and Rachel Singh was like living intentionally. And their brand was their marriage and whatever, that fell apart. But to me, and you didn't mention this in your podcast about it, but I think we got to say it. Like, Dave has struggled with alcoholism, and this seems very alcoholic to me.
I didn't know he was an alcoholic.
Yeah. So he quit drinking because he had alcohol problems.
Like,
did you read his book?
No. Does he define himself as alcohol dependent?
Just know that he struggled with it. That he would always drink too much. It was a negative. It was like he would drink a handle of vodka on vacation because he didn't want to hang out with family and stuff like that. That's what he said in his book anyway. Oh. So, I mean, like, I think it wasn't.
I mean, what I think is that I think it was a bad decision to go. I think it was a bad decision to go social. And I feel like a high school student being like, he went social with his girlfriend. But I think it was a bad decision in that for his kids, the divorce is, I think, very fresh. They got divorced, or they announced their divorce in June. And then here he is, whatever that is, 9 months later, talking about how he's so happy to be with this other woman. I think for Dave, it's totally appropriate. I'm sure the relationship with Rachel was dead for a long time, way before he announced it, and he knew it was going that way. And so for him, he's in a fresh place, and it's totally appropriate, totally healthy, But the reality is that Dave's not alone. He's got whatever it is, 4 kids, and Heidi's got 4 kids. And so for me, it feels like, and Heidi got divorced, by the way, I just learned, like in March also.
Yeah, they got at the same time, but her kids are she's been married twice already.
Oh, geez. So anyway, it just feels a little bit impulsive, and it's not the end of the world, but to me, it's worth talking about because I think it shows that people in relationships, even if they have the best intentions, make decisions that are selfish. I think it's hard when you're feeling a lot of emotions to be thoughtful about how you behave. Dave Hollis is a public figure and is posting this on Instagram. He knows the world is going to evaluate and judge, and he still makes a decision that to me feels like it was a selfish decision. How do I make myself feel good on Valentine's Day? And he makes a decision that he, if he thought about it, would recognize would not make his kids feel good. He chose himself over the kids less than a year after divorce. To me, feels like maybe not a great decision. And I think he's a good guy. I think he's well-intentioned. I think a lot of people are good guys and well-intentioned, but it's easy to get lost in your emotions and make bad decisions.
Yeah, it just seems so weird to me to do that, to post something like like a Facebook post about it. That just seems like childish or something. I don't know. It just seems like so weird.
Yeah, I was surprised. And she looks kind of like Rachel, I thought. Yeah,
she does. I mean, and I want to read her book because I bet there's a lot of good tips in it. I just think that it's just so strange. And also, I was listening to Rachel's podcast, and she was talking about how she was feeling bored, so she decided to join a celebrity dating app, which I also think is like, I feel like it's still a tender time for your kids, and it just seems like a weird time for both of them to come out with like, hey, we're dating.
So I have another way to think about this, because when I put my video out, some people said, hey, look, it's time for them to move on. The kids are ready for them to move on. If you think about the audience that is invested in their books and their teaching and their podcasts, et cetera. And the audience, like if you're feeling like, hey, it's too early, your investment of their relationship is a fraction of what their kids' investment in their relationship is. So if you're not ready for it, right? If the audience isn't ready for it, the chances of their kids being ready for it is pretty slim, because their kids were very invested in their relationship, right? Mm-hmm. So I think that's just a good metric, or sort of a good barometer for us to think about. This is, I would argue, early for both of them, given that the kids are watching.
And it doesn't, like, honestly, it doesn't matter what we think at all. It's just like really I guess to me, it keeps diminishing their brand. Like they keep their brand keeps going down and down in my mind. I'm like, what money? Are you doing?
I feel like they have the opportunity. They make so much money.
So I want the best for Ray and Dave. I want the best for you, but like I feel like I'm less likely to be spending, what is it, $400 on your next conference, which I would have probably done before your celebrity dating app thing. Just weird.
All right, but tell the story. She told me, Allison, you do like Rachel still.
Yes.
And Rachel what was the joke that she made about like how she tried to screenshot her celebrity?
Oh, she was like impressed with the people on the dating app. And so she tried to screenshot it so that she could share it with her friends. And they gave her 2 strikes. So she did it twice, once on purpose and one time on accident. And she has 2 strikes. So she's almost out. Anyway. So a little disappointing, but I do feel like it is diminishing the brand.
Yeah, I agree. Anything else you want to talk about?
No.
I feel like that was a short podcast.
Really?
I don't know, maybe not.
Well, until next time, everyone.
Thank you.